Okay, here we are. This is lesson 4 of how to draw a Ford Fusion. And as you can see, we did quite a bit more on the front end of the car today. What I'm trying to do is do the part that's the most visible, that's the one that draws everybody's eye to it, and that's the front of the car and usually the left front wheel or the right front wheel. I usually do a 3/4, and most often it seems to be on the left-hand side, but that's just what I find in the way of photos or what photos I take. And in this case, it's got a really good looking wheel too. I can hardly wait to get to that. But for right now, I'm just working on the front of the car, and I want to make sure that I do a good job with it so that it looks exciting and looks good. And so far, so good. It's got some really nice highlights and shade and shadows on reflections on this car too. So all of those things. And it's going to really look good when we get it done, because I'm going to be able to use a really dark ink, same color ink, but a lot more dense. And that's what I'm doing here, is darkening up some of those areas that we had previously done. And I want to make sure that it's a good, solid, nearly black color underneath it. And that way it'll show the definition. And those things that I want to show up well will be very strongly highlighted or very dark. So we'll have a good range of tonal values from light to dark, and that will make the car really jump out at you when you take a look at it. And sometimes, like on this car, the photograph is kind of indistinct as far as below the bumper area there to the tire. So I'm just going to totally eliminate that area and just make it totally dark so that everybody has to imagine what they want to imagine down there. And I really think that's a good idea anyway, because there's no use in putting in a whole bunch of details that you don't really care about. In my case, I just want to make it look like an exciting looking car. And these are really nice cars. The road tests have been really kind of glowing with them, and they seem to be well received by everybody. So I thought it was a pretty good car to go ahead and do. And you can see now I'm working right at the base of the windshield. And there is a rubber seal that goes all the way around there, and I haven't done that yet, but I'm trying to do the reflections that are on the hood. And we're going to do a lot more on this before the car is done, of course. But what I always like to do is try to get some idea of what the tonal values are going to be along the way. And then usually on the last episode, I'll go back and darken things up a little bit, or just change things around enough that it looks better. So far, I haven't had to do that. I'm just darkening it up. I'm not at the total value that it's going to have, the final value, but I'm trying to make it darker so that I can play with a little bit more in the way of light against dark, and that will tell me what I need to do to highlight some other things to pump up the values a little bit. I always like to make it so that when a person takes a look at it, they instantly recognize both what the car is and what I'm trying to do with it. And the photograph that I use to start these things is just a starting point. It's kind of what I use as a basis of it, but it isn't really what I use for the final version. In some cases, the reflections and the highlights that are presented in the photograph do give me a clue as to what I should do with it, but very often I'll go way beyond it in either direction, either lighter or darker, because sometimes the photograph can show a lot of information, but it can also be kind of boring. So I don't like to do those. I like to have it so it looks good. And the best way to do that is to have, like I say, a wide range of tonal values. And I only use one color pen, that's black, and it's a very fine point. So I'm making a whole bunch of little dots. And if I cover enough of the white with those dots, then it looks virtually black. And of course I'm drawing with black, so that makes good sense. But it's just like your inkjet printer makes black on a piece of paper. It might mix colors to make black, but what it's really doing is just covering the white of the paper. And that's what I do with my pen. And the more dense the coverage, the more dark it looks to you, because your mind just automatically figures that out. Anyway, that's what we're doing here. And yeah, I'm starting over on the side of the car too, a little bit back, just in front of the left front wheel. Okay, tomorrow we're going to do a whole bunch more on this now that we've got some of the groundwork laid for this, and you're going to see a whole bunch of progress, and I think you'll start to see it actually begin to look like a car. Anyway, I hope to see you back here tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you then. Thanks. Bye.